Okay, so you guys know the royal family is like always dealing with some kind of drama, right? But this latest situation with Prince Andrew is seriously messy, and it's dragging his daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, right into the thick of it. And honestly, it makes you wonder what their future even looks like within the whole royal structure. I mean, let's be real. Andrew has been a walking PR disaster for years. The Epstein stuff, that disastrous BBC interview, it's just been one thing after another, and King Charles basically had to exile him from royal life. He stripped him of his titles, his military stuff, everything. You'd think that would be the end of it, right? Like, okay, Andrew's out, let's move on. But then came the arrest, and suddenly, everyone's asking, wait, what about Beatrice and Eugenie? They didn't do anything wrong, but they're still his daughters. And that's where things get super complicated. See, Beatrice and Eugenie have always been in this weird middle ground within the royal family. They're not full-time working royals. They have their own careers. Beatrice works in tech, Eugenie's in the art world. But they're still princesses, they still have that Her Royal Highness title, and they show up at all the big royal events. Christmas at Sandringham, Royal Ascot, garden parties at Buckingham Palace. They're royal enough to be recognized, but private enough to have their own lives. It's a pretty sweet deal, honestly. But now that Andrew's completely out of the picture, that balance is seriously threatened. I read this thing in People magazine where a family friend said the sisters are very aware of how precarious their position now looks. And honestly, can you blame them? They're probably sitting there thinking, okay, dad messed up big time. Is that going to cost us our titles and our place in the family? According to this friend, Beatrice and Eugenie are desperate to hold on to their royal status. And I get it. It's their identity. They've been princesses their entire lives. But it's not just about the title itself, is it? It's about what that title means. Royal biographer Andrew Lowy, and I'm probably butchering that name, sorry, made a really good point about this. He said that their professional opportunities are actually tied to their royal status. Like being a princess opens doors for them in their careers. It helps with client relationships, networking, all that stuff. So if they lose their titles, it could actually impact their livelihoods, which is just so messed up, right? They're basically being punished for their father's sins. And it's not like they haven't been supportive of their parents through all the drama. They've stuck by Andrew and Sarah Ferguson through years of public criticism. So they're loyal daughters, but they're also part of an institution that's trying to distance itself from Andrew as much as possible. They're caught between a rock and a hard place, as they say. They have to balance loyalty to their parents with the reality that their future depends on staying on the monarchy's good side. And right now, the monarchy is all about damage control. Now, King Charles apparently likes Beatrice and Eugenie. He's always had a good relationship with them and doesn't blame them for Andrew's actions, which is good. But here's the thing. Prince William is a different story. He's apparently much stricter when it comes to Andrew and the mess he's made. According to Looney, still not sure if I'm saying that right, William wants the whole situation dealt with before he becomes king. He wants it cleaned out, as they say. And that's where the whole slimmed down monarchy thing comes in. You know, the idea that there should be fewer working royals, fewer public roles, and a clearer line between the core royal family and everyone else. Charles and William have both talked about this idea in the past, and if that's the future, where do Beatrice and Eugenie fit in? So what does all this mean for Beatrice and Eugenie right now? Well, apparently, they're laying low, like super low. There are reports that they might skip some big upcoming royal events. Easter service at Windsor, the Buckingham Palace garden parties, even Royal Ascot. All the places where you'd usually see them smiling and waving probably won't see them this year. One source said they're like a locked ship right now, which is a pretty dramatic way of saying they're keeping out of the public eye. But you get the idea. They're trying not to draw any extra attention to themselves while the whole Andrew thing is still a giant dumpster fire. And honestly, you can't really blame the palace for wanting to keep them out of the spotlight. I mean, the royal family has been working overtime to distance themselves from the Epstein scandal ever since that disastrous BBC interview Andrew did. Remember that one? where he tried to explain his friendship with Epstein and it just made everything a million times worse? Yeah, the palace has been trying to scrub that from everyone's memory ever since, but here's the tricky part. Beatrice and Eugenie haven't actually done anything wrong. They're just Andrew's daughters. So, is it fair to punish them for his mistakes? That's the question everyone's debating. Some royal commentators are saying it would be totally unfair to take away their titles or push them out of the family just because of their dad. But others are like, the monarchy needs to protect its reputation at all costs, even if it means making some tough decisions. King Charles seems to be trying to find some kind of middle ground. He hasn't taken away their titles, and technically, he probably can't. They were born princesses, and those titles are theirs by birthright. But their future role in the royal family is still totally up in the air. They might just end up staying in this weird limbo where they're royal enough to show up at family events, but not royal enough to actually, do anything. Visible, but not too visible. Close, but not too close. It's a delicate balancing act. But the big question is, can that balance last? If William really does slim down the monarchy when he becomes king, there might not be room for anyone who isn't directly involved in royal duties. And that would include Beatrice and Eugenie. I mean, think about it. They've been princesses their entire lives. It's part of who they are, how the world sees them, and probably how they see themselves. But the monarchy is changing, whether they like it or not. And the Andrew situation has just sped everything up. So, for now, they're doing the only thing they really can do. Staying quiet, keeping their heads down, and hoping the storm passes. And everyone's going to be watching those upcoming royal events like hawks, trying to figure out whether Beatrice and Eugenie's presence or absence says anything about their future in the royal family. It's a mess, right? I mean, you feel bad for them, but you also kind of understand why the palace is being so cautious. It's like no one wants to be associated with the Andrew drama, but at the same time, these are real people with real lives and real feelings. It's just complicated. Okay, so here's where I get a little judgy, because honestly, the whole thing just feels icky. Like, on the one hand, I totally sympathize with Beatrice and Eugenie. It's gotta suck to have your dad be the Prince Andrew, Like, that's a legacy no one wants. And it's not like they asked for any of this. They seem like normal enough people, they're trying to have careers, they're not causing any trouble. But on the other hand, come on, they've benefited from that royal title their entire lives. Even if they are working, they're still Princess Beatrice, Princess Eugenie. That opens doors. Let's not pretend it doesn't. It's not like they're showing up to job interviews with a blank resume, right? That princess title is right there at the top. And it's not just about getting jobs, it's about the whole lifestyle. They get invited to these fancy events, they hobnob with important people, they get photographed in magazines. That all comes with the territory of being a royal, even a non-working royal. So it's a little hard to feel too sorry for them. Yeah, it sucks that your dad is a total embarrassment, but you've also had a pretty sweet ride because of that family connection. It's not like they're exactly struggling. And honestly, I think the monarchy is in a tough spot here too. They want to distance themselves from Andrew, obviously. The Epstein stuff is a toxic cloud hanging over the whole family, but they also don't want to look like they're being completely heartless and punishing innocent people. I think Charles is probably trying to do the right thing by not taking away their titles. It would be a really bad look to just strip them of everything because of their dad's mistakes. But I also think William is right to be concerned about the future. The monarchy needs to modernize, it needs to be more relevant, and it definitely needs to get rid of all the baggage. And let's be real, Beatrice and Eugenie are baggage, at least in the public's eye. Fair or not, they're associated with Andrew. And that's not something the monarchy can just ignore. So what's the solution? Honestly, I don't know. I think the best thing they can do is just keep a low profile for a while, let the dust settle, let people forget about Andrew, and then maybe they can slowly reemerge into public life. But I also think they need to be realistic about their future role. They're probably not going to be full-time working royals anytime soon. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe they can focus on their careers, raise their families, and just be normal people. As normal as you can be when you're a princess. Anyway, ultimately, I think it's up to them. They need to decide what they want their lives to look like, and they need to be prepared to make some sacrifices. They can't have it both ways. They can't expect to keep all the perks of being a royal without any of the responsibility. And honestly, maybe this whole thing is a good wake-up call for the entire royal family. Maybe it's time for them to really think about what it means to be a royal in the 21st century. It's not just about titles and palaces and fancy parties. It's about service, it's about duty, and it's about earning the respect of the people. And that's something